Hello, I am here to discuss some of the things that I took away from this course, and I used majority of the guiding questions that were provided. So I'm going to get started right away. Um, in looking at the strategies that address the gifted student social and emotional needs, I reviewed all of the different strategies, looking at human development, social emotional development, cognitive, personal, career development, and moral development. And then really looked at different psychologists and theorists, some that I'm very much familiar with. I taught psychology for 10 years and have a focus in psychology as well. So Erik Erikson and Maslow, Gardner, Kohlberg, looking at the recommendations made by those psychologists and how each individual created an approach to meet the needs of the gifted student. But in order to meet the needs in the classroom, I learned about a variety of methods that are recommended for those students, including debriefing sessions, reflection opportunities, real world application, expression through debate, higher order thinking questions, content based inquiry, and the focus of expression through feelings. Other key aspects that would be included in the classroom are self-guided exploration, talent portfolio, guest speakers, community involvement, etc., which allows students to build self-esteem and develop stronger communication skills. So, in looking at strategies, and of course, there's lots of different models and theorists and recommendations, but really making sure that the emotional and well-being of the child is met through a variety of ways to express, and all of that are really key. One of the most interesting things I learned from this course was probably the statistics surrounding minority groups, specifically African American students. I come from a school where the majority population, I think it's like 88% white, and so we really have focused many years and a lot of our time and energy toward closing the gap for our African American students. So I think one of the things that I really found shocking was that of the entire gifted program, only 3.5% are African American students, which is incredibly low, which we see the same things at my school in AP courses and honors courses. And the reasons are the same. They pertain to cultural differences, income, social acceptance specifically. And I think that one of the ways that, we could work to close that gap is to really become more culturally aware so that we aren't just teaching to a certain type of student and meeting the needs of a certain type of student because they, all are very different. One model that I found most interesting in looking back over all the things that I've learned in this course was the bullseye model for effective development. I really found it to make sense in looking at it developmentally, what's happening to gifted individuals and what's sort of affecting them socially and emotionally, and the things that weigh in that process. And I really liked the model. I thought that it would be a great model to provide to gifted instructors because it's got a nice visual, and I just think it makes a lot of sense. So, it starts with the natural affect, which is the genetics and brain chemistry and personality and all the sort of biological stuff, to outside influences of family and peer and societal norms, to the meta effect, which is the social emotional regulation, to the personal niche, which is the ability to find one's social emotional self and to flourish. And I really like I just thought the model made sense, and I like how each aspect sort of influences each one and such. So what recommendation would I have for schools to incorporate gifted programs and address the needs? My strongest recommendation would be, after looking at everything that we've learned, is to allow for self-expression and to incorporate collaboration and communication among peers, even more so into the community. I think that when we look at the psychological or the emotional needs of a gifted individual, that's an area that's a deficit and needs to really be worked on. Research suggests that gifted students aren't great at self-expression or reflection, so incorporating ways to do so really will help meet the needs of that student. What recommendations do I have for counseling programs to address there's quite a bit on that we learned in this, and some more broad things would be recommended, like developing trust, to not create a competitive environment, to allow students to be heard, have discussions, not counseling, just general discussions as a group. Be aware that research and sadly statistics have showed that suicide rates are high among adolescents. So focusing on meeting the needs of, or meeting their needs of perfection and their higher levels of anxiety, and to incorporate family. So to increase communication among family. Some of the other things that I guess I would incorporate and focus on in making the recommendation are that the groups should be smaller in age. Similar in age, smaller in size, and that they meet not every day, maybe once or twice a week, depending upon the age, and making sure that you have parent permission in a supportive environment. And then I also went as far as to look at different recommendations and different models, and a couple of those would be the Peterson Development Model and the Betts and Kirsch Model, which is really focusing on student expression, and the model itself really breaks down how to go about working in a counseling, more supportive environment. All right, that is all. Thank you.